Hey, this is Knife Standards. Today I'm going to be doing my full review of the Carraher 904 Integral. But first, please follow me at Knife Standards. You can follow me on Instagram. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for a lot more knife content and weekly knife reviews. All right, cool. So let's get this out of the way. And let's talk about the 904 Integral by Carraher. So here's the pouch that it came in. You see his signature, same signature, kind of his, his logo on the back of the knife. This is an integral knife, so it's one solid piece of titanium that they have milled out. I first came across this knife actually on Instagram. I saw Dan is also a custom maker, right? So I saw one of his custom knives that he posted, and he does a lot of work in progress videos and pictures and stuff, which I think is really cool. I love watching that stuff. So I think I commented on it or something, and I followed him. I thought, okay, I didn't know he had a production knife. At this point in time, I thought he was only a custom maker. So I was checking out his custom pieces, and I saw that he posted two of these for sale, and I thought, oh, they look really similar. I wonder if those are customs also. And I did a little bit more research. I DM'd him. Turns out he has a production line, which is the 904 Integral. He was doing a pre-order at the time. I'm not sure if it's still going on, but a pre-order for the full dress and I think the half dress, the damascene steel and the zircotai and the crazy tricked out version of this knife. Not really my thing in most cases, so I wasn't gonna get in on the pre-order, but I saw that he had some of these in stock, so I DM'd him. He was super cool, super easy to work with. I had a few questions. He answered them right away, really fast. That's one of my big customer service things. And you don't have to answer super fast. That was just a plus. But good customer service is communication. And, whether it's a day later or 2 days later, whatever, but there should be some solid communication. And because he answered so fast, answered my questions, got everything taken care of, I went to his website, boom, ordered one of these, and I had seen one of these with the thumb studs installed, because this is normally just a flipper. It does not come with thumb studs. And I asked if he could install the thumb studs. He gave me the price quote, boom, easy. He also gave me a ship date. He said, I'm going to get this done tomorrow. I'll have it shipped out by, I think it was like a Friday or something. He said he's going to have it out by Sunday or Monday. It was whatever it was. The turnaround was super quick. And I was really excited to get this in hand. Finally got it. You guys can watch my first impressions, unboxing, unpouching, but I have it here in hand, and this has found its way back in my pocket. I carried this for a few days to get a feel for it, for my review, and then it keeps sneaking its way back into my pocket. So I carry this for another few days, and I feel like it's going to continue to find its way in my pocket, and I'm going to continue to carry it even after my review is done, even after this video. So let's go over a few specs and things, and then we will do our size comparison coming up very soon. Again, titanium handle, one solid piece of titanium. Normally on most knives, which is fine, you would see the sandwich construction. We have two scales that are screwed together with the pivot or a couple body screws. On this guy, it is just one brick o titanium, and they have milled it out, and it's a lot harder to do. It's a lot harder to machine. This is OEM'd by Bestech. Bestech absolutely crushed it. Did a phenomenal job with this knife. So Dan designed this knife, Bestech produced it, and I am super impressed, not just by the design, which is a pretty unique, kind of interesting, cool blade shape. I like the design. Is it my style, really? No, not necessarily. This is kind of this is kind of, although it is a titanium frame lock, which is right up my alley, I got my thumb studs on here, which again is my style, but the blade shape, the recurve, this kind of, you know, jumbo harpoon tanto thing going on, definitely not my thing, but I happen to really like it on this knife. And because it's so not my style as far as the blade shape goes, I don't have any blade shapes or knives that are like this. This is my first kind of harpoon tanto recurve action that I have in my collection. So because of that, I think it's really nice. I think it's really interesting, and I've been enjoying it a ton. There's a lot of things that I love about this knife, so let's go ahead and get into a few of them. Again, we have, I think I have the COA. Yeah, here we go. Got the COA card. 904 integral, thumb stud, M390 blade steel, titanium all across the board. And then we got Daniel Carraher, and then the picture of the knife at Dan Carraher Knives. Got M390 blade steel, this really gorgeous vertical belt satin, slight recurve on the belly. Kind of, I would call this a harpoon shape. I've heard some people say it's a tanto. I get it. I see the tanto going on. Light stonewash on the flats, and then this pretty epic swedge coming down. That'd be interesting if someone, you know, someone who has this knife, if they sharpened up this edge and made it double edge, I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, you have this really nice spot for your thumb to land. And of course, it is a titanium frame lock. This kind of pivot collar thing. Is it? Yeah, so it's also an over travel stop. And you see that a lot on integral knives, this kind of second piece that sits in there. Very cool. Action is awesome, and we will talk about that in just a second. Ergos are even better. Let's go ahead and do a size comparison. I got my Quiet Carry Drift, and I'm gonna go ahead and bust out my VBR. Boom, boom, boom. And let's go ahead and measure these guys up. So the Quiet Carry, we know 3 inches overall, just under 7. The 904, we got about 3 1/4 for the blade, 7 1/2 overall. And then the VBR, 3 1/2 and 8 overall. So I would consider this small, medium, large. This is still really EDC friendly, very easy to carry. It was fun to carry, fun to use, but I would consider this a medium-sized knife. The Quiet Carry is that kind of traditional 3-inch blade. To me, this is starting to feel a little bit small for my hand. And I think it's just because I've been so used to these medium-sized knives and even larger, like the VBR. So this is starting to feel just a tiny bit small for me. Still a great knife, of course. And then, of course, the VBR, you know, we can check these two out. I love comparing stuff to the VBR lately. Of course, the VBR is longer, slightly taller blade on the 904, similar handle sizes, but of course the VBR is a little bit longer. And we have the hollow grind. Got a flat grind on the 904 and a hollow on the VBR. Of course, I prefer the hollow grind, but you know, not a deal breaker. I think it fits the design, and that's another thing about this knife. There's a lot of choices that you know, Dan made on this, which for the design for this knife, I think are great, and they really work. They work really well. Are they the choices that I would make? No, definitely not. You know, if it was my knife, would I have the flat grind or the recurve or this harpoon? No, but that's one of the things that makes this knife so interesting for my collection. Is it is in a lot of ways the opposite of what I would do. Luckily, I got my thumb studs on there, so it's bringing it a little bit back into my style, my zone. But a lot of things about this knife are not my style, and I've actually enjoyed that about this knife. So let's go ahead and talk about the action. So the action on a lot of integrals, the detent, and when I say action, I say detent. Detent is basically, I feel like a lot of people will talk about detent and, you know, over and over and over, detent, detent, detent. And if you don't know what the hell detent is, you're lost. So detent is just, there's a little ball that sits in a hole, and the easier it is to push the ball out of the hole, the lighter the detent is. So the detent is keeping the blade inside the handle. So for a super stiff detent, it's going to be harder to get that ball out of the hole. In most cases, there are exceptions. You got the Sharp by Design integral detent. There's other. That's just kind of like a general quick cliff notes of detent. Anyway, so for this guy, I think the detent is right on. Is it a little soft for the flipper tab? I feel like that's subjective. Can I fail it? Yeah, I can fail it, but I feel like if you have purpose with the flip, it works really well. It works how it's supposed to. If you're trying to flip it open, it's not going to fail on you. You're not going to get the blade stuck halfway. It's solid. The detent works really well on the flipper tab, and a lot of times on integrals, the detent will be a little bit too soft. I don't think that is the case for this knife. Detent is good on the flipper tab, and for the thumb studs, it's great. Really crispy, snappy detent when I deploy the knife with the thumb studs. Yes, you can middle finger flick it comfortably. Really dialed in for both deployment methods. So that's definitely a plus. One of the things that surprised me about this knife are the ergos, because it just doesn't, I don't know, it's obviously a cool looking knife, kind of a neutral handle shape, but I wasn't expecting to have amazing ergos. I was thinking, okay, this knife might be uncomfortable. I'll deal with it when I initially purchased this knife, but it's really kind of blown me away with how comfortable it is. And by the way, before we get into ergos, I forgot. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but really glossy, buttery, smooth drop. Part of that is the thick blade. This is kind of a hefty blade stock. But the other part of it is whatever bestech has going on in there. It's on bearings, but really just like super smooth and buttery. So that goes along with the action. As far as ergos go, really surprisingly comfortable. The handle shape fits my hand really well. It is neutral. There are 0 hot spots, 0 sharp points, nothing rough on any of the edges. Bestech did an unbelievable job smoothing everything out and making this handle exceptionally comfortable. There is a nice little, harpoon thumb resting area, whatever you want to call it. I am missing, one little mini, I'm just throwing in these little mini downsides. I feel like the majority of this review are, the majority are upsides. This is a great knife. I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to be keeping an eye out for what Dan has coming next. But there are a few tiny downsides that I'm going to sprinkle in. One of them is I would love to see just a little bit of light jimping in this little thumb rest, because it is a little bit slick. It is a little bit slippery. That'd be great to see just a tiny bit of jimping so I can get my thumb really planted in there, because the handle really melts and kind of becomes one with my hand, and my thumb is kind of lost just a little bit up here. Very comfortable. The pocket clip was also surprisingly good. I feel like retention is where it should be. Nothing too tight, where you have to put it in your pocket with both hands and then take it out with both hands. Nothing like that. Really comfortable carry. Again, EDC friendly sized knife. It worked really well for what I used it for, which was mostly boxes, packaging, cardboard, the usual knife standards, cutting tasks. But in pocket, really comfortable for being, this is not a light knife. I'm not, I don't have a scale, but almost lost it. It's heavier than the VBR. It's definitely not a light knife by any means, but it carried, fairly comfortably. and definitely did not feel like a clunker in my pocket. Now, if you get this knife without the thumb studs, will it be as enjoyable? That is a good question. I think for me personally, because I really enjoy the thumb studs, that is probably my number one deployment method. If I had to just choose one deployment method, I would go with the studs. So for me, it would not. I feel like it would be a good knife, a good integral knife with no thumb studs. With the thumb studs, I think that really takes it to the next level, into a great knife, a great integral. Another huge plus that I already mentioned was it was really easy to do business with Dan. He was super cool, straight to the point, no nonsense. Sometimes you deal with knife makers or designers or whoever, not even just in the knife world, but other places too, and it's just kind of a pain in the ass to deal with people, and that was not the case. Dan was super easy, cool, straightforward, fast, boom. And that adds to the knife experience, at least in my case. Customer service is becoming more and more important for me, so that was a plus. So thumb stud edition. Also, I should mention the price of this guy. I think it comes in like $425-ish, and then extra for the thumb stud installation, of course. But for an integral knife, I feel like that's very affordable. That's right on point. This is not going to be your $600, $650, $700 integral, which there are plenty out there. This is definitely on the more affordable side for an integral knife. Overall, really excellent production quality, fit, finish, superb from Bestech. Pretty wild design. Just this blade shape, it kind of makes me think like fishermen, being on a boat. If somehow you could get this in Vanex, game over. Quiet Carry would have some serious, crazy competition. But I just feel like what a cool blade shape, unique, at least in my collection, and very well done, well designed by Dan, well done by by Bestech. Couple other little tiny details. One being the pocket clip, hidden hardware. The screw is actually inside the scale. Not sure how you would get to that. I'm assuming like a little 90-degree Torx. I don't have one of those in my collection or in my little toolbox. But that question was actually asked to me, and I said I don't know. ask Dan, because definitely an interesting question to get, because you can't get a regular driver in there, so it has to be at an angle. Anyway, another cool little detail is the flipper tab sits pretty flush, and you can kind of get your finger right at the top and just pull down. Definitely a light switch, and I feel like that makes it more comfortable in my pocket. This swedge does stick out. I didn't feel it in my pocket, but it's nice that there's no giant protruding flipper tab. Also, one last detail to point out. Look how clean this show side scale is. Obviously no body screws because it is an integral. Only the pivot screw. No tooling marks on the show side. Very nice. And then of course, hidden hardware on the clip. So you don't have any screws on this side. Just the pivot and then the lock bar insert screw. Pretty clean design. I have definitely enjoyed carrying this, and I'm looking forward to carrying it more. One last thing, which is kind of a sneaky upside for me. This just, and I mentioned this in my unboxing as well, this just kind of screams out like, use me. Like, it just, for a $400, between $400 and $500, between a $400 and $500 knife, usually I would be like, if I can use something, maybe bust out the Skaha or the knife that shall not be named. But if I can use a less expensive knife, I usually will. I'll kind of default to those, especially if I'm carrying two knives. But this, for being, objectively an expensive knife, it doesn't, you know, I mean, what I'm trying to say here is I won't hesitate using this knife because it has this kind of plain, almost like worker finish. I feel like this knife is meant to be used, even though it is expensive. This is meant to be used. It's meant to be carried. It's meant to be beat up. And that's what I plan to do with it even more. And hopefully I have a chance to carry this again. I get a lot of knives on my table. Sometimes it's only a couple days for a knife, or a day of carry, and then I gotta move on to the next one. So I'm definitely looking forward to using this more, carrying this more. But yeah, for a $400 plus knife, it's definitely gonna be I would categorize it as a user-friendly knife. I know that's a big ramble about using the knife, but I think you guys get it. Normally I would default to a less expensive knife, or you know, what else do I have on my table? Even the you know, the VBR, this is around 300. I feel like for this 904, it's built to be used. And for an integral, what a, you know, just what a cool design, excellent action. Very impressed with this guy. So thank you guys for listening. Thanks for hanging in there for my little ramble at the end about this being a user. And I have a lot more knife content, a lot more reviews, and something very cool in the works that I can't quite announce yet. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Knife Standards. I'll catch you later.